You know, every once in a while, a single year comes along that feels like a real turning point, like the future just showed up all at once. Well, for technology, that year is 2026. This is the moment where we see the whole software era start to pass the baton to something you can actually touch, the era of physical AI. And really, that's the whole story right there. For years, AI has lived behind our screens, right? In the cloud, chewing on text and images. But in 2026, it moves out. It's leaving the digital world and stepping into the physical one all around us. Suddenly, it's not just about information anymore, it's about action. And this quote from NVIDIA's CEO, Jensen Huang, it absolutely nails it. I mean, think about how generative AI and ChatGPT just changed everything for how we think about language and creativity. Well, that exact same kind of massive seismic shift is what's happening right now for robotics and for any machine that has to actually interact with the real world. So what is physical AI really? At its core, it's an intelligence that lets machines see, reason about, and actually do things in the physical world. And here's the crucial difference. A traditional robot, it just follows a script blindly. But these new physical AI systems, they can improvise, they learn, they adapt, and they make decisions on the fly based on what's happening around them. This image is a perfect way to think about it. On one side, you've got the digital world, all the data, the algorithms, the code, and on the other, you have the physical world. Factories, warehouses, our homes. Physical AI is that essential bridge that finally connects them, turning all that incredible computing power into actual, meaningful physical work. So how in the world is any of this possible now? While the answer starts with a huge revolution in the hardware, we're talking about the robot's brain. And right at the heart of it all is this chip, NVIDIA's Drive Thor. It's not just another processor. You have to think of it as the foundational brain that gives these new machines the raw power to comprehend the physical world. It's what lets them move from just following lines of code to actually understanding. And the power it's packing is just staggering. 2,000 teraflops. To put that in perspective, that is a monumental leap in computational power. It enables the kind of real-time thinking that was pure science fiction just a handful of years ago. So what does all that raw power actually unlock? I mean, this is the really interesting part. We're talking about a 7.5 times performance jump from what came before it. It's so powerful it can run these massive foundation models right there on the machine itself, which enables this thing called chain of thought reasoning. So it can think step by step like, okay, I see that box, I need to pick it up. So first I need to adjust my grip because it looks heavy. It's managing how to walk, how to understand language, and what its sensors are telling it all at the same time on one chip. It's incredible. Okay, but having a powerful brain is only half the battle, right? How do you actually teach that brain to understand our messy, unpredictable physical world? Well, that's where we move away from pure code and towards something that looks a lot more like intuition. And this is the fundamental change in thinking. For decades, we tried to manually code every single possible action, every outcome. It was brittle, it was slow, and it just didn't work in the real world. The new goal is to give these machines a physical intuition, a built-in understanding of concepts like gravity, friction, and cause and effect that we humans just take for granted. This chart just lays out that night and day difference perfectly. Back in 2024, robots were basically just matching patterns. They followed hard-coded rules and reacted to things after they happened. But by 2026, physical AI is using what are called causal world models. It learns from thousands of hours of video to proactively plan. It's the difference between a robot reacting to a spill versus one that understands what causes a spill in the first place and avoids it. So how do we get them to that point? It's basically a two-pronged attack. First, you give the robot a virtual world where it can practice over and over again. And second, you give it a gigantic library of videos showing how we humans do things in the real world. That simulator side is handled by models like NVIDIA's Cosmos. The best way to think of it is as a learned physics engine inside the robot's mind. Before it even moves a muscle, it can run thousands of tiny simulations to predict what's going to happen. It can literally imagine how water will spill if a cup is tilted just so, which lets it plan ahead instead of just, reacting to a mess. Now for the real-world data part, and the scale here is it's mind-boggling. 44,000 hours, that's the size of the Dream Dojo dataset. It's a massive library of videos showing people doing, well, everything. By watching us, the AI learns all the little nuances of how to interact with objects, how to move efficiently, and how to pull off complex tasks. It completely bypasses that incredibly slow process of trying to teach it everything manually. Okay, so we have the brain and we have the training method. But is this tech actually out there in the real world, or is it still stuck in the lab? Let's see where it's hitting the production line. Right here. And this is not a concept drawing. This is happening now. At BMW's factory down in Spartanburg, South Carolina, they are already testing humanoid robots for really complex assembly tasks, things that require the kind of dexterity and two-handed coordination that until now only a human worker could do. And the applications are just exploding everywhere. At that same BMW plant, newly built cars are literally driving themselves right off the assembly line. Major car makers, we're talking Mercedes, Volvo, BYD, they're already shipping cars powered by that Thor superchip. And it's not just humanoids. You've got robot dogs using physical AI to just listen for the specific sounds of a machine that's about to fail, catching it before it breaks down. All of this really points to a much bigger trend. The real race, the real competition in AI, is no longer just about who has the smartest chatbot. You can see the new center of gravity here. For years, the big race was in what you might call cyber AI, these huge models living in the cloud. But the real frontier, the cutting edge, is now physical AI, where intelligence gets a body and can actually interact with and change the world around it. The goal is no longer just processing language, it's taking real embodied action. And this slide is so important because the physical world plays by a totally different set of rules. Look at the latency. In the digital world, a few seconds of lag is annoying, but fine. In the physical world, where a robot is moving at speed, a few milliseconds can be the difference between success and total disaster. A software bug might crash your app. A robotics bug could cause physical damage or serious safety risk. The stakes are just infinitely higher. And the economic scale of this shift, it's just breathtaking. The market is projected to grow from over $370 billion to nearly $2.5 trillion by 2032. This isn't some niche trend. This is a foundational economic transformation. And frankly, industries can't afford to ignore it. And of course, a technological shift this massive brings with it profound societal change. We're not just talking about a few cool new gadgets. We are fundamentally redefining how humans and machines work together. It's going to revolutionize whole industries like manufacturing and logistics. And that forces us to ask some new really urgent questions about jobs, about safety, and about what it means to create this internet of moving things. Which brings us to the final critical question. For so long, we've been focused on teaching AI about our world. But as it finally learns to see, to understand, and to move within it, the great challenge for us becomes a very different one. How are we going to learn to live alongside it?